You deserve a photo shoot every hour. It's your hour. Camera, lights, flash.
Click, strike up, pose.
Oh, swag, drippy, click, strike up, pose.
Hey everybody, how are you doing? As you can see, we are still in this beautiful lockdown. I hope you're all keeping safe, wearing your masks, and doing the things that you need to do. My name is Vera, yes, your hostess with the mostest, and thank you so much for joining us, our Rangers. Yes, look at you staying committed. And in a few seconds I'm gonna be crossing over to the Zoom meeting with everybody else. So thank you so much for joining us. This is the Influence series, and we have really cool guests that we've been having on the show. So I hope you're watching all the other episodes too. So
click, strike up, pose.
Yes, and I am now joined by some lovely, beautiful women today. Yes, and we will start off with my fave, my other half, my darling co-host. Oh my goodness. Tell the world who you are, girl. With your brushes. Look at you waving.
My name is Hi guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Jordan. I am What's good?
Yes, and I love that. And just like a side note, one thing I hate about makeup tutorials is they tell you their whole family history. Like the video is 5 minutes long, and for the first
and like 3 minutes of it,
Did I? And then my mom would
you're like, I don't need to know this. Tell me how to do my eyebrows. Damn. Okay, anyway, back to the podcast, back to us. Today we are joined by, I think, one of the most talented people that I know. And she is absolutely amazing. You all know her. If you don't know her, then maybe, I don't know, you're living under a rock. But I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Do better.
Yeah, a lady needs no introduction. I'll let her introduce herself. Yes.
Hey guys, what's good? My name is Chengeto Brown. I am a singer, songwriter, composer, founder of the CBS Foundation, etc. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff. I'd like to consider myself as part of the creative hub and industry that we have growing here beautifully in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to be here for HerHour. Like, honestly, when I got the message, I was like, I'm offended that you think I have to think about it, because what?
Well, like, you're always so busy and you're doing so much. So we always have to just make sure that, like,
No, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to just be here with you guys and just, get some conversations going. I'm super duper excited. Super excited.
That's
Definitely.
Great. That's great. So, as you did say, like, you're a musician, you've got your own, you said a foundation that you're running?
Yeah, a mental health foundation. After my little sister, I don't know, there's some people may know, some may not. My younger sister passed away when she was about 15 and she committed suicide. So ever since then, after going through the healing of the trauma and everything, I very much became dedicated to opening up the conversation, especially here in Zim, which I think we're lacking, which is like, listen, let's talk about the actual mental health, you know what I mean? So that's what the Chengeto Brown Foundation is a focus on just having those conversations, providing the spaces to feel free to have them, etc. So yeah, super excited. It's a really fun project that I've got going on. Super fun.
Great. That's fantastic.
I'm so sorry for your loss. First of all, oh my gosh.
I know.
I'm so sorry for your loss. That's what I just feel like I needed to say.
Yeah.
Oh, babe. Hard to say.
So we will definitely ask you a little bit more closer to the end of the episode about like some of the cool stuff that you're working on, because I know a lot of cool stuff that you have been doing even since last year. So I won't speak to the fans. But before we get into the episode, we would like to thank our sponsors. Kuva, a beautiful local beer brand. Yes. Jordan,
yeah.
show them. They need to know.
Okay, I did not get the notion that this was a cool thing, so I'm kind of upset because I've been wanting to taste this beer since it's local. Like, really?
No, because of lockdown, we couldn't organize to get you a drink, but we're gonna call you back, and then we will all have our Cougars once lockdown.
Did you hear that, guys? HerHour owes me a drink, just so y'all know. Just so the whole.
But we saw you sipping on something. What are you sipping on?
Oh my God, I made this amazing, I think concoction is the right word, or mix. I don't know, one of the two, whichever one sounds more, some gin, some mango juice, some orange slices, some lemon slices. You still have to put fruit in it so that you don't feel so crazy about, what I'm saying.
So it's still healthy. It's still healthy because it has fruit.
It's still healthy. It's still hydrating. So I think I'm on the right track here. Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. Such a pretty drink. Such a pretty drink.
Could have been a mixologist in another world. Could
you know, but there's nothing stopping you. You could be like the singing mixologist, and it could work. I'm just saying.
Yes, I want to drink.
One successful career at a time, guys. Hold on.
All right, great. I can already tell this is going to be a great episode. So we're going to dive right in.
Yes, let's do that. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I guess we're going to start off with the first question, which is just for everybody. What do you think, what does influence mean to you? Like when you hear the word influence, what does that mean to you? What do you understand by it and stuff like that?
Ms. Jordan, do you wanna get into it, or should I get into it?
Oh my gosh.
Listen, I can get right into it, but this is your show, honey. I just want you to,
Okay, well, basically, what I understand of influence and how I interact. Oh,
English bundles.
What I understand about influence and how I interact with the word influence is that I understand that it sort of means you have, someone said this, you have social currency, and basically what it is that people are buying into who you are as an individual, and the more that people buy into you, the more social currency you have. Right.
I like that though. Sounds very transactional. That's actually really dope. I might need you to type that and send it to me after this. Because it's amazing. Social currency. For me, the what influence means is having the ability to change and sway a mindset of people a certain way, whether that's in your favor and another person's favor, whether it's negative or positive, because you have your positively influential people and then you do have your negatively influential people. So I think it just all falls down to me, to the power that you get. Influence to me is a bit like power, because you're literally given the capability to literally change how people see and view things. So for me, it's definitely a lot about power, a lot about the capability, and just having a thing about you that makes people want to really hear what you're talking about and then do the same thing. You know what I mean?
I love that. That thing, that.
Yeah, cut this, cut that. Really. It really is the full scope for me.
No, that's dope. I completely agree with you. I like that you like just having that, that ambience around you that makes people want to know what you're doing and want to do the same thing. I think that's so true, because you have, just for lack of a really cool example, just looking at the Kardashians. Literally, these are just people living their lives, and everyone wants to be like them. That is
there's not anything actually detrimental that these people do on this earth. Hey, they're not changing global warming, fixing food hunger, none of that. But they have carried themselves in a way that makes you want to know and makes you want to be a part of whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
And it goes back again to that power, just literally exuding that power of y'all want to know what I'm about, and that's all y'all want to know. Yeah, definitely.
That's so true. So what I want to ask you, and I think it'll be really interesting to hear your point of view, is especially because you're literally a child of very influential parents. Your sister is also very influential, and then you yourself have found yourself in this realm of like influence and stuff like that.
Things.
Was it like an intentional move for you? Did you like consciously say that, okay, my mom and dad are famous, my sister's also kind of famous, so
I might as well just go in there as well.
Like,
Oh
that's where the
God.
bandwagon is going.
Mind me, and please time me if this response takes longer than 3 minutes, because this is a question that I've had to learn the correct answer of over time, you know, because I really did have to ask myself. I myself am an introvert. I actually don't like people half the time. I don't. I feel like humans are a lot of work, you know what I mean? But growing up in the family that I didn't realize it at the time of having my parents around, just the levels of influence and the levels of power and the levels of this. But I did know that I wanted to grow up to become somebody that was able to change the world. And in changing the world, I must have the power to do so. And having the power means the connections that you have and the conversations that you have, etc., etc. So for me, it was always like, I do want to become a person, which now the word is influence. But at the time, to me, it was just a person that changes the world. You know what I mean? And then over time, I found myself coming back from America back in like 2016 or something like that. And I'm like, wait, I'm this important? Wait, so when I say something, you people want to listen? All right, cool, let's get into it. And I've just found myself in this position where, you know, there is that level of influence. It wasn't really something that I picked, to be honest with you. It really wasn't. In the whole family, Chengeto was not supposed to be the singer. Me, I can sing, I can write, it's great, but I was going to get into law school so I could make sure all my family did their paperwork right, you know, because those white people took too much money from my parents because of paperwork, you know, so I was very driven on that growing up. And then eventually I just found myself fall into it. But then it also goes back to that place of the power that I didn't understand that I had and what I was born into. So in some way, yes, I did consciously make a decision that, okay, I'm now an influential person. This is how I need to do. I need to be mindful of how I carry myself and what I want to publicize and how I want to communicate with the world. But it was never something I expected to happen at this gravity, to be honest, growing up. I just thought I would just be known as those people's daughter. You know what I mean? Or that person's sister. I wasn't really looking, you know, for more than that. But here we are, and I'm thankful for it. It's still what I wanted to do, which is be able to change the world for the better. But, you know, just in a different way that I assumed that it would, which is I'm still here for it. I'm still here for it.
And that was exactly 25 minutes. That's how long it took you to tell us. I'm joking. I'm playing.
All right, girl. Okay, girl. Okay, then.
I know, Jordan, do you want to add anything to that, or do you want to say anything like along those lines?
No, I think that's just really it for me, man. Born into it, didn't realize the gravity, and eventually really woke up and smelled the coffee. So here we are, guys. Hi, I'm an influencer. How you guys doing?
Right. Ugh, I don't know. I don't think I have anything to say. I just think sometimes things just go a different way than you think. Actually, no, I think with life, as much as you can try to plan out your life and plan out what you want to do with it, sometimes things just happen. You know, things just fall into your lap and you just have to run with it.
Sometimes for the better, hey? Sometimes for the better. Yeah.
Sometimes it's like a lot of resistance, and like you might be resisting what is your true path, but eventually, like, you know, if it's meant to be yours, it's going to be yours no matter what.
Whether you want it or not. I just want to.
Right.
It's not a choice, apparently. So here we are, but I'm here for it. Nah, great stuff.
That's great. I want to like ask Jordan a question, because I think I've only just thought about it in this context now. Is that, Jordan, you're like you fall into the PK kind of category, and I think to a certain extent that also puts you in a position where influence is forced on you, because a lot of the times, especially in a church context, the congregants will look at the pastor's kid to influence their kids to be like perfect children. So
that is so true. Yeah.
I don't know, we've never actually discussed your influence story. I know, like, we know the other story that like you always were a person who just had attention, but like just looking at it from the context of in like the church kind of scenario, did you feel that unnecessary pressure to be an influencer, especially to the other kids, because of your parents' position in the church?
I think that definitely there is some sort of expectation. I don't think the expectation was for me to be influential. I think the expectation was for me to be like perfect and, you know, high
Sort of
standing in
the perfect
society, and to be
square.
someone
Yeah,
who is
yeah.
like fitting into like all the boxes, right? Like ticking all the boxes of like to be holier than thou or whatever. Like, and I think through that there's this expectation that like, you know, the influence comes naturally, you know, and even in my experience in the church, one thing, you know, there's this thing that people do where they like prophesy over your life, and they tell you basically like what they see in your future, and it's
And
like
where it's going.
I won't
Yeah.
say that. I was gonna say it's like a fortune teller, but I don't want to get dragged. But anyway,
Beautiful save.
so
That was
basically,
a
like,
beautiful save. I'm here for it.
a lot of the time I was being told that like, yo, we see like leadership in your future, like you're someone who is like a naturally born leader, or you're someone who has like influence over other people, and what. That's something I used to hear like a lot, being prophesied over my life, like the little crystal ball. I'm joking. Nick's X the crystal ball. That was just a joke. So yeah, it's just a lot of what I was hearing when I was growing up was like, you're going to be like this, you're going to be like that, you're going to be like that. So maybe a little part of me, like that seed was planted in my mind, and I might have watered it over the years because of that expectation. Like, you know, once people put those kinds of expectations
And you
on
feel like
you,
you have to live up
you
to
sort
them.
of start putting those expectations on yourself.
Yeah, I second that. That is so true. I couldn't have worded it better. Wow, that's true. That's actually very true.
Yeah, so
Right, like it could have completely been like not true. It could have been like something that came out of someone's head, and like it was not meant to be for me, you know, people just saying anything. And then because that seed is now planted, I'm going to pursue it naturally, because if I don't, I'll feel like I'm falling short of my own like potential that someone else saw, you know, because it's sad when you can't see your own potential and someone else is calling it out and saying, I can see you being so much better. You know, there's that disappointment of knowing that like I didn't have the foresight to see this thing that someone else is now seeing within me. And so now it's disappointing that first of all, I couldn't see this thing. And then second of all, I couldn't even live up to this thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
It's a lot.
it's a weird
It's a
balance.
lot.
Yeah, it's
No,
a
I
lot.
get it. Shit. Definitely get it over here. You've connected. Everything you just said literally sounds like my life, so I'm here for it. It makes so much sense. Yes, yes, yes.
okay, so given like, you know, now you found yourself in this position where you're now this influential person, you know, with all these people with like influence, like how do you feel that people of influence have like a response, like have a role, or how can I put this? Do you think they owe it to like their community and to society to stand up for certain like rights and movements and things like that? For example, the example we've been giving all season is the example of the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, like people were looking at celebrity
social issues.
Yeah, like to say, yo, are you gonna say something? Same thing with the, you know, Zim Lives Matter. The same thing with NSARS. A lot of Nigerian and West African, you know, people were looking at their celebrity saying, yo, say something about this SARS thing. Y'all just can't sit down and be like, oh, we don't know about this. This is not our life. No. So do you think...
Oof, man, you know, that's a really good question. When I saw it earlier, I was just like, okay. I think for me, what it is this, right? When you become an influencer, the reason you're able to influence so much is because of the people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You would not exist and be a social influencer without the social. And the social is the people. So it's impossible. You understand? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, I do feel that it becomes a bit more difficult depending on where you are. You know what I mean? And the kind of environment that you're in. Because I look at Zimbabwe. I look at places like Nigeria, right? Zim Lives Matter to me is something I firmly believe in. There's a lot of things that happen within the orbit of our country that I don't agree with. But I personally don't feel safe enough speaking on it. Not because I agree with it, but because I don't know what's going to happen to me and my family tomorrow when we've said something, you know? So I think it differentiates between where you are as far as if it's still actually safe to say something, right? But if we were to take that factor out, for me, I very much believe as an influencer, you have a social responsibility. I believe that as a celebrity, when you get to a certain place, you do have a social responsibility. You cannot detach yourself from the things that are happening in the world, yet still expect the world to support you. Doesn't make sense to me. However, in getting more into that, I do feel that when you find yourself in a position, like for myself, I find that, like I was saying with the Zim Lives Matter thing, I had a moment of pause because I was like, can I really talk about this? But there's nothing wrong with saying to people, guys, I want to talk about this, but you know how real this is, so I can't. But behind the scenes, I will do everything within my power to start those conversations and make sure that people wake up to these things. You know, because as much as I am socially responsible, I'm also not going to risk my life. For the sake of social responsibility. You know what I mean? So I think it's a very catch-22 situation for me, a 50-50, which is that either step up and do it, or if you don't, at least give people an explanation as to why you won't. Not just go quiet. No, don't do that.
That makes sense. Jordan? I don't know if you have something.
I don't think people owe people anything. Like, do whatever you want. I'm kidding. I think that, you should definitely be speaking up. But I understand the perspective of saying that, like, in certain places, like, it's a matter of the safety of your family and yourself versus, like, being a social martyr.
To prove a point.
Literally, just to prove a point, just to say that, I stand on this. But you know what? I think there are ways to do things in a subliminal way where you can put a message across without
putting yourself in jeopardy,
incriminating, right? So I think there is a way. If you're smart enough to do that, you can figure it out. If you really want to put out a message, you will put out a message, and it can be subliminal, it can be straight up, straightforward with the hashtag. But there is a way to put out a message that's reassuring, and I think that it doesn't matter whether it's subliminal or not, as long as there's a message being put out. That's, like you said, it's something for the people to chew on while they wait for things to get better.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just giving people some sort of peace of mind momentarily to make
some hope, right?
Yeah. No, that's true as well. That's true.
I completely agree with both of you, but like I'll still hold on strong to my theory in the past couple of episodes, where I will say that I strongly believe that when you're in a position of influence, it's very important to say something when, things are going on. And I like how you kind of put it across, where you're like, listen, I might not be in the forefront and blatantly just like, oh, Zim Lives Matter, oh, screw these people, but like you're doing something in the background. And I think also putting, like what Jordan was now saying, that you don't necessarily have to put the hashtag or whatever, but there are other things that you're doing that is helpful.
Exactly. Just being mindful, because at some point, because of that responsibility, we have to be a lot smarter in speaking on things than the regular person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and also you don't know, because I watched this happen with my parents. Sorry, not to keep this on going, but I watched this happen with my parents, and it just reminded me where they were here, guys. My parents were at the peak of their careers. You couldn't say anything when it came to those two people and the influence that they had. But the minute that they spoke against the government and they spoke against certain things that were happening, they'll take it from you. They will actually take that influence and that power that you have right out of your hands, like this. So I have to be mindful, because for me, the goal at the end of the day is to see change. But if I want to see change, I obviously now just have to be a lot smarter about how I implement that change happening. Yeah. But
brilliant.
I like on that one.
So I guess like the next thing I wanted us to talk about is, if you looking at a lot of people who are in positions of influence and things like that, do we sometimes feel like, people are really out of touch with reality? Like, I'll give the example of Kim Kardashian. She's at the beach at some weird, crazy holiday place, and she lost an earring that was like worth $75,000, and she's out here crying like, "Oh my gosh, my earring!" And Courtney's like, "Dude, there are kids starving like every day in like countries around the world."
What's wrong with you guys? My diamond earring came off in the ocean and it's gone.
Kim, there's people that are dying.
I just told anyone would be annoyed. I work really hard and I know.
Like you can afford to buy another earring. It's really not that deep. So do you feel like and that's just like a very rough example, but like do you feel like that happens a lot, that a lot of people of influence, people in certain positions, people with money, people of privilege are very
just
what's
detached from the things? You know, I like to be a person of both sides, so I try to understand everything before, you know, judging it. But I do feel like a lot of us make the mistake of becoming too detached from the world. But then I also understand what can lead you to that detachment. When you're in a position where when you wake up, people have to get to have an opinion over your life, an opinion over what you eat, an opinion over what you wear, an opinion over where you slept, you kind of develop a defense mechanism that's just like, you know what, y'all deal with your problems. Me, I got money to take care of mine. So that's what I'm going to do. You know, so there's that part where I very much like, I try not to judge people that do that, but at the same side, I do very much feel like this level of detachment when you come to some sort of materialistic level of success is very dangerous, because the same way that you got it is the same way it can be taken away very, very quickly. Yeah. You know, and I think that's where we have to become mindful as people, which is that it's okay. It's actually okay to detach sometimes, because the world gets crazy. The world just becomes a lot of noise. And when you have the capability to enjoy yourself in every extreme that you want to, because you're in a position to do so without worrying about everybody else's problems, you're going to do that. You know what I mean? But as I say about everything in consumption, don't do too much of anything. Don't do too much of the detachment, because you're really then going to become that detached person, you know. But I do feel like it is healthy to shut off the world's problems at some point in time, because as an influencer, you carry a lot on your back without asking to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it just depends. I think everything in moderation, man. If you're going to tune off the world and desensitize yourself, don't be public about it. Do it quietly. You understand what I'm saying? Then when you decide to be a human and remember what got you there in the first place, which was the people, come through and be a person. You know what I mean? So I think it's just finding the balance in everything, man, is so necessary. Finding that balance is so necessary.
True. Just like a follow-up question. Do you feel that when you came back from the States and like you had to come to Zim, like, do you feel like people maybe thought you were detached from like, you know, being an artist in Zim or whatever? Do you think that that was a thing? Do you think also, because I also feel like there's so many different sides to this, like also having, you know, your parents at the level that they were, do you feel like some people could have just looked and been like, oh my gosh, Chengeto thinks that life is so easy because like things are kind of easier for her? Or do you think you were like, people like, nah, she's cool. She knows the struggle. She understands.
I think, you know what, one thing that was really awesome about my parents is that for all the traveling we did and all the things, because both my parents were passed by the time I was 17. Both of them had, you know, they chucked out and gone on to the next life. But for me, I was truly blessed to have parents that never, ever allowed me to forget where I came from. You understand? So as far as Kutaura Shona and Kutasei, Chivanu Chedu, all those things were never taken away from me, no matter where I was in the world. So I'm very thankful for that, which is why when I came back, I'm going to be very honest, Zim was very welcoming. They were actually just like, dude, we've been waiting for you to get back. Like, you know, and then I come back, and as much as my English sounds like this, Shishona changu ndinochitaura kudai, which still made people be like, okay, this person doesn't really think she's above of the thing. So for me, I didn't have much of a difficult transition. I think the most difficult part was in my musicality, where because I was coming from a Western influence, it became difficult to come here and start doing this dancehall Afro pop people like to do here. God, it kills me. But overall, very, very warm reception when I arrived. I cannot honestly sit here and say that where I grew up sort of, you know, influenced, or where I was before influenced people's perception of me. I was very lucky, and because I'm a real person, what you get is what you get. I don't have time to build some sort of whatever for anybody, no matter where I am in the world. You know what I mean? So I think people recognized that, appreciated that, and they're like, all right, cool, we can run with you. Let's see what you're about. Yeah.
You know what? Just from what you're saying, I feel like I'm not trying to call out anyone. We're all Zimbabweans here, and you know, one Zimbabwean to another. I feel like, to a certain extent, our people in our country can sometimes be very shallow. You know,
Exactly.
like as long as you are upholding, you know, some of the tenets of traditionally, whatever that means. Traditionally, like Shona society, not even like Indevele, that doesn't matter. As long as you're like traditionally upholding like the Shona tenets of society, then you'll be accepted no matter what. Like even if you're a white girl and you can speak Shona, you can get on your knees.
Then you're good to go.
Right, get on your knees, serve your man like shadza. You know, wash his hands with the jar.
In that part of our tradition, I feel like it's cock. Oh God.
Exactly. For me personally, because my Shona isn't like amazing, I can't like hold a conversation. People think that I'm better than them, you know, because I speak English, because I'm coming at you like in an English, you know. And for me, it's like, it's not like I chose to be like this. It's just like what I've been handed. It's what my life experience gave me. And this is what I have, you know. But because I don't uphold those traditional Shona tenets of society, like, you know, I'm rebellious. I think I'm better than everyone. I think that, you know, I'm detached from the reality of being
I know more.
Society.
I get that part.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you speak English, you know, you think
and a certain kind of vernacular. It's not just English for English. Because like not for nothing.
Right.
Running off of what you're saying, like I remember having to intentionally walk into spaces and simmer down the American that my English sounds like so that people would feel more comfortable with me.
Right. Like I feel that because sometimes when I'm in certain spaces, I know not to use certain words.
You start talking like this and then doing
yes.
And then you go into other places, you're like, hey guys, what's going on?
Right. And it's problematic. It's problematic, I think. I think it's really problematic because it's shallow. It's a very shallow thing. It's shallow because, you know, I think one thing that I always push when I'm speaking about languages and this idea, you know how when we were growing up, there was that whole thing of, oh, people are so gouache, so what. I think one thing that I think is just the way that someone talks is not a reflection of their level of intelligence. Right. Or what they're capable of, you know what I'm saying? So in a Zimbabwean context, someone may seem detached from society just because they don't uphold, like I said, the traditional tenets of a Zimbabwean society. Right. But to other people, like from the Miz, they might see this person as being, they're just normal. They're just being normal. But to like South of Samora, where the traditional tenets of society are being uplifted, right? It's different. I've been thinking about this, and I'm like, you know, sometimes it's not even a thing of people are detached. It's just the way that they've been given life, the way that they've had to interact with life, the things, the resources they had. Right? Yeah. It's not detached. It's just a different life.
Yeah, it's just another scope of it. And you know, so many things play into that, especially when you're looked at a certain way because you speak a certain way, or you're looked at a certain way because you don't speak a certain way. I'm just like, guys, it doesn't make sense. And on top of that, how are we basing a person's intelligence on a language that's not even our mother tongue? I have so many issues. But then also, why are we trying to make someone feel some type of way if they don't speak the kind of Shona that you want them to? It doesn't take away from who they are as a Zimbabwean. Half the schools, 70% of the schools we go to do not teach Shona. What do you expect, you know? So those are also other like political reforms and things that I love to get into, but contribute to the thing just to
right. Like I think, and as just a short example is how like an Indevele artist in Zim won't make it as big as a Shona artist. It's simple as that.
Baffles me. We speak over 10 different kind of languages in this country, guys. over 10.
Yeah.
And why do I only know of 2? That's a problem. Something is wrong there. We need to talk about that.
It's problematic. It's that they'll see an Indebele artist and be like, "You're detached from reality.
Yeah,
You're
why are you
detached. This is a
like,
Shona
no.
society, so you should speak Shona." You know? How many times have I heard that?
Possible?
You're from
It's
Zimbabwe.
crazy.
Why don't you speak Shona? Like,
Mm.
what?
I think that's such a great angle to look at it that we haven't really explored before. It's just say that sometimes people assume that you're detached. I'll go back to the Kardashians because I remember last year there were quite a lot of scandals that came out. I think it was Kylie's birthday. I can't remember if it was Kylie's birthday, but they had this huge crazy bash where they flew people to the to some island and they were posting pictures.
It was Kim's birthday last year. I think that's the one. Yeah. I saw that and I was just like,
but I'm like, this is their life. Like, do we want them to go?
and they will.
And chill in Harlem, by the side of the road, and
If they can, they will. Because listen, Vera, Jordan, if you guys had over $5 million in your account right now, and you could go and take 2 weeks off for your birthday from this goddamn panoramic/pandemic, would you not take it?
Guys, my birthday is in 17 days, and I'm like, $5 million would be great at this moment. Like, right this
Twice,
moment.
exactly. I'm not gonna think twice. And I had my own jet. Come on. Come on.
It's a given.
Judging things that if put in the same position, we would probably do the same exact thing. End of story.
Right.
Somebody that works their ass off and decides to freaking
Right.
enjoy.
Right.
Their
I was actually pointing this out on Twitter the other day because, there's people who make these stupid videos about how a guy will be talking to a girl on the side of the road and then she'll be ignoring him. Then he goes to his car and then she turns around and she's like, "Oh, but you know what? Like, what's good?
He has a nice car.
You know what I'm saying?" So I was like, yo, if you are in the same, sometimes you just don't want people wasting your time. But who's not going to accept a free ride in a nice car? Like, who's not going to? It's
also once I see that nice car, then I know you're about yourself because I'm about myself. I am about myself. So I need you to be about yourself. Can't blame me for trying to have a standard.
Right. Especially being a woman in a man's world. A man coming up to you guys is a scary thing. Unfortunately, we live in a gender-based violence world where men can become abusive in a second, even just for turning them down. Yeah, no. But we're swaying from the topic, so
I get you though. I get what you're saying, my love. 100%. Yeah.
All right, so let's bring it back. So definitely, I think that sometimes as the audience, we ourselves can be detached from the reality that's on the ground. That you have people who are rich, you have people who've grown up in amazing households and amazing homes. And we need to recognize that. But also in the same breath, I think we also need to appreciate that people who are in positions of influence, people who have money, people who are famous or whatever, they also need to be conscious of certain things that they say. I think, Chengeto, you also mentioned yourself that once you realize that, oh snap, people actually care about what I say, you started.
Then you have to be mindful. Yeah, 100%.
So I think that's also just it has to be a balancing act that for us to understand you, you must also understand the other side of the tracks. And you can't just chuck certain comments.
Exactly.
Be like, hey, yo, fam, really? Are we going there? So in the light of people saying that, hey, yo, fam, are we going there? This is then when it gets to the dark side and people are like, you know what? If Chengeto wants to be out here saying that rich people are A, B, C, D, we're going to cancel her. We're not going to download her music. We're not going to
cancel culture. Cancel culture, my favorite thing of the 21st century. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Someone is going to go on your Facebook and they're going to look back to a post you put up 15 years ago and they'll see a post
start typing away.
Isn't that cool? Don't miss being home. And people be like, oh, she's not patriotic. Let's cancel her. So what are your views on cancel culture?
Man.
Our favorite topic.
Now you see, I have to be careful of how I answer this before people cancel me. So I have to be You see? So for me, when I look at cancel culture, right, again, because I did say earlier, I'm a person of balancing both the things, right? On one end, as the influencer, and just being a very energetical, spiritual, orbital person, you cannot cancel what God created. Doesn't mean if you cancel me, there's 7 billion people in the world, okay? The 20,000 of y'all that are going to decide to cancel me, there'll be about 50,000 that won't, okay? This is number one, you understand? And I feel like we are running on a very clout-based culture. That is what I think cancel culture is. Cancel culture is going on to Shade Room in the morning, and when they start talking about this person, then you see all the comments and people like, ugh, this person, then you're also just like, ugh, this person. But it's not really your own actual thought. You haven't taken time out to realize if this is how you really feel, but because the energy and the surrounding resolve of like who this person is starting to affect you. Because when you read these comments, it has some sort of effect, right? So on one end, I feel like cancel culture is absolute BS. Absolute BS. You can't cancel anything that God wrote down. You cannot. But I do believe in, as the people that we are influencing, you guys are allowed to hold me accountable at some point when I fuck up. You are. You're allowed to tell me, hey, bruh, man, I don't know what you're doing, and I don't like what you're doing, and da da da. Because the thing is, you know what? If 3 people say one thing, then you can pretty much brush it off. But if 10,000 people comment on your picture saying the same thing, then there's clearly something that you're messing up on. Yes! Exactly. But within that, it's knowing that I think that we should take away cancel culture and replace it with whether it's teaching culture or awakening culture. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I want all of you guys to come and tune me shit because I did mess up. Sorry. I want you guys to tell me about myself because I did mess up. But I don't want you guys to leave me high and dry because not everybody knows anything.
Right. I was thinking about this actually yesterday. Yesterday we were having this similar conversation, and I was thinking, you know, becoming an influencer or being an influencer has essentially become a job. And you know how with a lot of jobs, they have like unions. So people unionize their jobs. And so I was thinking, what if people actually like created like a union for influencers, and part of that union, like part of being a part of that union or being unionized was the fact that like you are going to be held accountable by the people who are running this union, and you know, accountability, social awareness is part of like being part of this union. Like these are just certain things that come with the criteria of being unionized, you know. So if you can't live up to understanding that, you know, there are different levels of society, there are different classes, people come from different spaces, and being socially conscious, you know, if you can't understand that, then maybe you are not someone who
in the right
can be an influencer. Right. Exactly. So if there was a way to like, what is the word?
Yeah,
to figure it out, to make it more
understandable, and people don't feel so
structural. Right.
Exactly. Right. Structural is the right word there, Jordan. It is, because like for me, not everybody knows everything, and because we are human, one thing we're guaranteed to do is mess up once in a while. Yeah, that's actually one thing we're guaranteed to do. And I think that if obviously you mess up as an influencer, make a very desensitized post or do something that's not very like, you know, whatever. If people tell you that, yo, listen, we don't like what you just did, and you take it upon yourself to be like, you know what, guys, I did mess up, I apologize, and then implement the difference of understanding and doing better, cool. But however, if you decide to be nonchalant and just be like, hey, you people don't understand, and fight the masses, then yeah, get canceled, because then you're just being stubborn. Right.
I think just like adding on to what you're saying, I think another thing that's a problem in our society is that like people apologize, but like the work that they're doing, the work that they're doing on themselves to be better is not as public as the shame that they put us through. You know,
they
like
have to experience. That's
exactly true. Like they didn't. when they made that mistake, it was very public. It was very in our faces. But now the work that you're doing is not in our faces. But I think you owe it to the public to show them, like, yo, look, I'm doing the work here on Wednesday. I went and I did this. Right.
No, I completely agree with both.
Find that balance. Sorry, go ahead, Vera.
Yeah, I was saying I completely agree with both of you and this is exactly what I said, is that I'm completely against cancel culture, because I think it's an excuse for people to rant and rage on social media
and to be mean.
Yes. But like at the end of the day, what have you solved? Like for a Zim context, like it's a conversation I had with my dad. And we were talking about the not Nigel. Oops. What's his name? The pastor guy. What's his name?
Oh my gosh.
Do not rely on me. I probably know one pastor in this country.
I don't remember. Let me Google real quick. Okay. Talk and I'll tell you the name just now.
Okay, so Jordan's gonna Google. But anyway, so that dude, he had to do his whole public apology and everything. And I was like, for me, it's a bit crazy that he had to do this whole like apologizing in front of the church and people like
Shingi Munyeza.
Shingi, yes. I was saying that sometimes this whole public, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And like what you're saying is that it's not backed up by him actually changing his actions or whatever. I think that's what we need to see more of. And I think for cancel culture and things like that, like same thing with Ellen DeGeneres. People are like, oh, Ellen is like this. And then all she did was like, oh, sorry. I love all of my people. Nah, girl, we want to see proper contracts. We want to see you buying your staff members cars and like giving them 3 months off.
We want to see you be Oprah.
Yes, be Oprah to your people. Like, so I think like that's, and I'm also just giving people, I think cancel culture doesn't give someone a chance to apologize. I think sometimes we drag out a story of
that part as well.
15
Not
years ago.
the opportunity to explain themselves. Yeah.
I've heard stories of someone who did something like 9 years ago. They're like, oh, we found this post that someone posted 9 years ago, so we're gonna cancel them today. And I'm like, guys, 9 years ago, I said a lot of stupid shit. Like if I were to go on my social media and look at
I was not a very nice person. If y'all found my Facebook.
Like, why are we holding this to someone? Why are
we letting this define everything that they've done in life?
Exactly. And
Chengeto, I think we used to have each other on Facebook 9 years ago. I think we did. I literally think we did. We definitely did.
You and I have been friends on Facebook since like 10 years ago. Okay, thank you very much.
Right, since like Facebook started. Oh my God.
So we want to see, if we want to go back and see the stuff that y'all were tagging each other in, like who knows? You could have been canceled by now. But like you see,
I really could have. I really could have shared. I was quite sensitized young teenager at that time. So, it is what it is, though. We're out here. But I hear you, though. Yeah, no, cancel culture is a bit of a problem because as humans, we are all flawed and meant to mess up at some point. And I think that until you understand the pressure of being an influencer, you'll never understand what that is. And sometimes you want to admit to the things that you've done and said that were wrong before other people notice them, but you're so scared of just being shunned, of being canceled. You know what I mean? So I think that as much as we want to call out our influencers about, hey, you didn't do this or say this right or speak about this, can we also have a moment of pause to recognize that the same way that I am human is the same way that you're human. So therefore I cannot be perfect. That part. And because I'm willing to hold myself accountable for my imperfections, allow. Yeah. Instead of trying to completely cancel my actual income and everything like that and what.
End you. We've had such a great discussion today. And I think you've really given us like an interesting insight. I think especially because you have a very unique kind of experience with this, like, with just being in the whole realm of being an influencer, like, coming from parents who were influencers and then also being in a family of influencers. I think it's really interesting, like some of the things that you've brought up. And I think it's just so important for people to just really be conscious of the decisions they make when they decide to get into this realm of influence.
And make yourself a public figure. Yeah.
Whether it happens intentionally, whether you just find it like on your lap and you're like, oh snap, like people actually care about what I say. So I just wanted to ask you, like, what advice would you give to someone who is like maybe interested in becoming an influencer, or they just found themselves in this scenario and they're like, oh, okay, so this is what it is. But like, what kind of tips or advice or words of wisdom would you want to give to someone like that?
I think for me, so funny mini backstory before I get to the answer of this as to why I believe in this statement so much. When I was about 18 or so, I was living in Seattle, Washington. I was a bank teller, mind you. It's not that exciting. I was a bank teller. Then I became a banker, one of the youngest.
Making that coin.
Girl, I was making money. I was making money. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, the uncle that I happened to live around at that time is really big in the industry in the States. And he got me to meet TLC, Chili and T-Boss.
Wow.
Yeah. I got to meet them and actually sit down and have a conversation, and I sang a little bit for them. And T-Boss said one thing to me that stuck to me. She said, no matter what comes your way, do not change who you are. Not even if they tell you this makes you look sexier, or this sells better, or this will get more whatever. Don't change who you are. And so I think I take that in its essence and what she was trying to say. And I will use that as a response to this question and as words of advice, which is that, listen, the things that made you passionate enough to influence, the things that made you passionate enough to want to put yourself in a position of change and implementing change amongst the world are the things that you should hold on to. Because as time goes by, we become very caught in the sauce. You get caught up in the sauce a little bit too much. And so what I will say to anybody trying to become this person of some level of influence is that, number one, do not falter your beliefs. You are allowed to learn and grow and maybe view things differently, but the core of who you are should never change.
Yeah.
Because once you change that, you are no longer an influencer. You are now the influenced. You understand what I'm saying? That's it. So to put it in a nutshell, for me, to them, and to everyone, is just do not change the core of who you are and your beliefs, because once you do, you are no longer the influencer, but the influenced. That's really it for me. And the thing is, as a person, you know when people are changing you. You know. So when you get that feeling, cut it off. When people try to make you feel like you're crazy for what you believe, cut them off and stick to that thing, because that very thing and those cores of your beliefs have what made you become who you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's really it for me. Hold on to that part of yourself and never take it away, and never allow yourself to be, changed and etc. That's really it for me. It's quite simple. My parents, one of the biggest things that made them become who they are, my sister, one of the things that's made her become who she is that firm belief in who you are and what you are and where you're willing to go and where you're not. Simple. Yeah, that's really it for me. Not too many words. That's just really it. Yeah.
Nice, short and sweet. I love it. I think that's so true. And I think that's something that's really resonated with a lot of our guests this whole series, is that being who you are and being completely unapologetic about it. I think sometimes we can be who we are.
Unapologetic as well, exactly.
Sorry that I'm this crazy, or sorry that I'm this cheeky.
Exactly. Like eggshelling around people. Yeah. Be your fullest self. Be your fullest self, because what you are is already enough to do the things that you want to do on this earth.
Stop saying sorry. Stop being sorry.
Apologize if you're wrong, perhaps, but do not apologize for who you are.
Yeah.
Because the minute you have to start apologizing or tweaking yourself, my guy, you're doing the wrong thing. Move on. Move on, because all you're doing is building a midlife crisis. It's going to come at 35, then you're going to be so upset that you lost yourself, and etc. Yeah, 100%.
No, that's so true. So as we round up the conversation, which has just been so fantastic, I just wanted to give you this time for Jordan and I to just sit and watch and smile and look pretty and just give you a chance to, I don't know if there's anything you want people to know, if there's anything that you're working on that you need people to know, or just anything you just want people to know about, like in relation to this topic or just in relation to life in general. Like this is your time to talk and just
do my thing.
Our viewers, do your thing.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, first part basis, as far as like things that I want people to know in life and just like a thing that I would leave off, just goes back to the last question that you asked, which is like the minute you live unapologetically but still accountable, right? The minute you are so true to yourself and certain within yourself that no one else or anything can shift what that is, you're good to go. That is the place we aim to get to, which is the place of knowing that who I am and what I think are all enough for me to do exactly what I want to do. And in the process, I am human enough to know that I will mess up some way, but as long as I can hold myself accountable, then great. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think on other avenues as well is just like in anything that we do, I think I want people to really understand the importance of your mental health, which goes back to, you know, what I was talking about with that foundation that, you know, that's after my sister, which is that if you are not right up here, if you are not right in the spirit, trust me, the physical realm is going to be a lot of work.
Right.
Okay?
How you gonna win when you ain't right?
Right within. Yes, Lauren. Yes, Lauren. Yes, Lauren. Tell them. Exactly. So for me, I think I feel no need, weirdly enough, to get too much into the things that I'm doing and everything, because I feel like those things will get to a place of speaking for themselves. But I do feel, again, as an influencer and my social responsibility, that I must tell people that, man, anything you want to achieve in this world, guys, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, anything you want to achieve, because I feel like, especially in our day and age, in our age group, and this time that we live in, so much voices, so much people with opinions, so much this, so much that, so much that. So much of how you have to fix yourself and do this and do this. But I really want people to know that everything you actually want to do, the tools are within you. That same belief that you have in other people to believe your things and make the things happen is the same belief that you must have in yourself. And that many a times we will get lost and feel a bit whatever. But if you literally hold on to that part, that everything, the capacity of however big that is that you want is already within you. That's it. You save yourself so much trouble. Because let me tell you something, all those grumpy people that you see that are like 60, 70 years, they're pissed that they didn't realize that it was already there. Spend their whole life looking for all these things. And on top of that, just to sort of close it off, live for yourself and for the people that you love, not for anybody else. Live for yourself and the people that you love. Because the people that you love have the opportunity of holding you accountable, which is what we all need in this life. We need people to be like, Jordan, babe, I don't know what you're doing, but you just need to just, take it back. Or like, Vera, babe, just hold on. I don't really know if this is the best way to go, right? So live for yourself and the people that you love and no one else. And no one else. Because we actually don't owe anybody in this world anything, but we do owe ourselves belief in ourselves. We do. And I think once you click into that and realize the capacity of what you have, you are then able to implement and change the things in your life that you want to. I think it was only until recently when I decided, listen, everybody else, quote unquote, may not want to talk about mental health, but I do. Because I felt it close hand. And I had to deal with the trauma of having my mother pass away. My dad passed away the first year, my mother the next year, my little sister the next year, and thank God I was in a space in society where you could talk about these things. And I went to therapy for these things. But imagine how many people that don't, but I had to get to a place in my head where I knew that I am doing this for myself and the people that I love. Therefore, it means that what I'm doing is important. It's very important. So holding on to that part of knowing that at the end of the day, you have everything within you to make the changes that you want to make. That's really it. I don't like to talk too much or give people a heavy Bible of things. I really don't. Because anytime someone's giving me a Bible, I'm like, bruh, okay. Are we done? Because I get what you're saying, but now you're just extending. You know what I mean?
You're preaching.
What are you doing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think to just wrap that up, that's all I'll leave it with, is just like, know that everything that you want to do is within yourself. Because personally, for myself, once I realized that, everything went great. And from here onwards, you know, as far as what I'm working on is just being the best version of myself. And the best version of myself comes with so much extra stuff, which is really, really dope that you guys then get to see. So I think that's really it. What I'm working on for me is really the true queen within. And
can I just fangirl for 1 second? 1 second.
1 second, Jordan. That's all you get is 1 second.
1 second. Girl, that performance on Z2 Live, girl, that's my favorite song by you. That's literally my favorite song by you. Like, I am in love. It's so spiritual. It feels like I'm transcending to like a different realm. And the way you play the Vera is so beautiful. Like, you are so amazingly talented. And I'm like, your voice, you have like an angelic voice, and your tone, I'm just like, I can't
cry on this video. I'm a hard woman, okay?
But I'm done now. I'm done.
Okay, because the thing is, you know, Vera, Jordan is not an easy person to impress, okay? I've been to live performances with Jordan. He will be in the audience. You know what? Thank you. I'm beyond humbled. That means a lot coming from you. So thank you.
That's okay.
I realized let me just bring myself back to myself. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Wow. Oh man. Butterflies. Now I know when I drop that song, because it's not out yet, my gratuity gift to Jordan is just like, here's the song. You don't have to buy it. Here you go.
This one belongs to you.
But thank you. I'm truly appreciative of that. Thank you. No, for real. Okay. Vera, talk about something else so I can stop tears in my eyes.
Well, we've now come to the end of this episode. I just want to say, like, on behalf of HerHour and all the Hour Rangers, thank you so much, Chengeto, for agreeing. Just so y'all can know, I literally just asked her and she was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, wait, what? Guys, Chengeto just said it's okay for her to be on the episode. I messaged her and I was like, girl, she said yes. We have a yes. So yeah.
Thank you. No, thank you. I love, sorry not to get you off, but I really love what you guys are doing. You know, one thing we're missing is just the platforms for these conversations. That's just it. You know, and people that are willing to take the risk to have them, you know, and for you guys to just think of me and involve me in the ether of these conversations that are happening, I'm truly humbled. So thank you for that. Thank you. Because it could have been anybody else, but you gave me a call. So thank you for that. Even for me as well.
Anytime. And yes, please keep writing amazing, beautiful music. For those of you who, I don't know, are living under a rock and I don't know, just like don't know nice things in life. We're putting Chengeto's, we're going to obviously put links to her YouTube and her music in our comment section, in the description, sorry. But on the screen, we're also putting that information so you can follow her on social media. Just keep in touch with all of the amazing work that she's doing. And yes, definitely mental health, I think, you know, from some of the previous episodes we've had and the Thursday sessions with Jordan, where like mental health is such a major element for us. We're such strong advocates and believers of mental health. And yes, I think especially now during the times of COVID, with, you know, people who are dying and, you know, people can't even go to these funerals. People can't be with family when
there's a lot of mental stuff going on as well that needs to be spoken about. 100%. No, definitely.
So it's so important right now more than ever to. I was watching just sidetracked. I was watching an Instagram video clip by Tare. I'll also put the link, and she was basically talking about the importance of, even if it's just like calling a friend and just being like, hey, Chengeto, how are you doing today, girl? Are you happy? Like, the weather is wild today. Like, just that call.
So important. It is.
Yeah,
It
it can
is.
make someone feel so good. So please make sure that check up on a friend after this episode, send them a WhatsApp,
100%.
tag them on Instagram in a very happy picture of the two of you together, whatever it is, just do something. And make sure you follow myself and Jordan. You can see our handles on the screen as well somewhere. Keep supporting local. Kuva, yes.
I'm totally getting myself a 6-pack of Kuva. It's happening.
Yes. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Please write any comments or any questions that you may have. And let's keep these conversations going. Let's keep thinking about, just being in a position of influence and being in a position of power, and just realizing that, we need to make the most of the time that we have on this earth, because I think Corona has showed us that like nothing is guaranteed.
Girl, nothing in this world is guaranteed. What are you saying? Oh my God.
So stay safe, wear your masks, sanitize your hands 6 feet apart, and show some love to everybody you know. And yes, thank you again, Chengeto. Thank you again, Jordan, for being.
Thank you so much, you guys, for having me. I really appreciate it. Hashtag HerHour. Yes.
Shout out our Rangers. We love y'all.
Yeah.
Tick, strike up, pose.
Oh, swag, drippy, click, strike up, pose.